Good morning, everyone, from wherever you are joining. We will be starting in 2 minutes' time, so we are giving people more time to join. Good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Omudho. I work in KCDF, leading livelihoods and environment work. Today, we are going to talk about the Young Environmentalist Innovation Challenge, the second series. And thank you for joining us. We'll be sharing with you briefly about who KCDF is and what this challenge is about. And we'll be welcoming questions that you have and try as much as possible to respond to them throughout this conversation. So if you have any questions, even as at now, you can be putting them in the chat and we will be responding to them, and they will also help in terms of forming the frequently asked questions. So we will also be recording this session, and we'll be able to share with you the recording thereafter. Thank you very much. So who is KCDF? We are a community foundation, and we promote work that support sustainable community development. We are unique in pioneering work on community philanthropy, where we support communities to be part of their development by contributing to it. We have a vision of flourishing and resilient communities, and our mission towards our vision is by promoting social justice and sustainable development. Our philosophy is around shifting power, flourishing, resilience, and working together. So in shifting power, we desire that communities will be able to hold their decision makers accountable in terms of the decisions around use and distribution of resources, and that they are involved in engaging the decision makers in terms of prioritizing their issues, in terms of allocation of resources, and also just being involved in the issues that matter for them. In terms of flourishing, we work towards communities being able to realize improved quality of life, whereby they are able to recognize their own resources, invest these resources for diversification and provision of options for their lives to be flourishing. In terms of resilience, is that communities will be able to mitigate, be able to adapt, and be able to recover from shocks and stresses that they get to face in life in a manner that they do not go back to extreme vulnerability, but are able to bounce back. Working together is where that communities benefit from inclusion of the very many actors in their society, and that they have capacity to promote sustainable development. Our priority areas are in increasing access to inclusive quality education and livelihoods, where we are looking at economic empowerment so that we can increase resilience and livelihood options for the people we work with. In terms of promoting environment and natural resource management, we look at supporting communities to promote sustainable use of natural resources and also being able to adapt to the climate change. And in terms of strengthening community voice and agency, we are looking at how do we support these communities to build accountable governance structures and push a collective agenda in philanthropy. In all this, enhancing institutional effectiveness is key for us. So when we work with community organizations, we desire that it's not just about the implementation of the work that you're doing, but it's about you being able to do your work effectively. And so we also invest in supporting institutional effectiveness. We support capacity, we support linkages so that organizations can be stronger and work better in what they do. So on to the Young Environmentalist Innovation Challenge. This is a challenge that we have been running since last year. It has been made possible by a donation that we received from Mackenzie Scott, and we set to do different kinds of innovation projects, and one of them was the Young Environmentalist Innovation Challenge. In the first series that was launched last year in July, we were able to award 5 youth-led organizations with a total funding of 23.95 million shillings. The focus area of the first series was on environmental conservation, livelihoods, and education, of course, with community engagement, which is a key component of where we want impact to be at. And so we awarded innovations around tree growing, waste management, and agriculture. We had innovations that were featuring work with technology and also unique ways of engaging communities. In the second series, we are awarding up to 5 youth-led organizations and 3 young individuals. We will be able to award more if we get more resources through the engagement with our different partners. And so we have if we are able to mobilize more resources and get partners to match what we are doing, we will be able to award more than what has been planned for as of today. So we have a total funding of up to 30 million. And the focus for this year is on environmental conservation and technology, where we are looking at innovations that integrate technology in environmental conservation. The award categories are 2. We have the first category of Young Environment Champions, who will be getting grants of up to 1.5 million each. And eligibility is that you are an individual young champion in Kenya up to a maximum age of 35 years, you're making significant contributions to environmental conservation. And the second category is organizations. These are organizations, they could be registered in any form. They could also be that they are not yet registered, but are already engaged in some work around environmental work. So it is focused on youth-led organizations who are registered in any form dedicated to environmental project and sustainability initiatives. So these organizations will be receiving grants up to 5 million shillings each. The goal of this challenge this year is that we are able to enhance technological innovation for sustainable environmental conservation among young people. We appreciate the energy, the synergy, the techno-savviness of the young people, and we would like to incentivize and support the work that young people do. And the objectives is, one, to inculcate the spirit and practice of environmental conservation and awareness among children and young people in learning institutions and also out in the community. So at the end of the day, we will be contributing to the awareness, we will be contributing to the practice and involvement of all kinds of people in ensuring that we are conserving the environment, we are using the natural resources sustainably, and we are contributing to a good living space for everyone. We will also want to promote environmental conservation practices and sustainable use of natural resources, of course, led by young people. We know young people are innovative, young people are strong, young people have a long way to go, and they need to be part and parcel of this journey. Again, strengthening the capacity of youth-led organizations so that they're able to implement environmental innovations and also even the work that they do around their mandate, so that at the end of the day, it's not just about receiving the grant, but also being able to have your capacity strengthened to do more than you are just doing right now. This call was launched on the 25th of July this year, and we were excited to have representation of different stakeholders, different young people, as individuals, as organizations, and even young school-going children joining the session. This was a very huge success, and thank you for those who were able to make it to that event. During this time, we were able to showcase the innovations from the first series and be able to award the finalist of the first series. And then we launched the second series that the application is out there. And so what are we looking at in terms of this second series? We are looking at innovations that are geared towards environmental conservation, innovations that are integrating technological advances, digital skills, technology in it. And so in terms of evaluation, what we will be looking at is you being able to articulate the need that you are solving through the green and digital innovation that you're proposing. We want to understand, how did you identify this need? We want to understand what are the issues and the challenges that the community is experiencing for you to be able to come up with this challenge. If I give an example of one of the finalists from Nyandarua, who was talking about them being a farming community and them realizing how much waste was happening at the farm level, where of course when you are selling, even you when you go to the market, you want to choose the biggest potato, you want to choose the tomato that look prettiest, and so others that are good but may not be looking nice may not really end up going to the market. And so there was a lot of waste, and that is what spark them into coming up with their innovation. So even for this call, we would like to understand what issue, what challenge are you addressing from the community? We also want to see the potential of your idea having impact into the future. It's not just about getting the grant, but it's about you being able to have the impact of the work that you have started being enjoyed in many years to come. And so the third evaluation criteria will be around clarity on how and what you will measure to determine progress, achievements, and impact expected while allowing room for learning. It is important that what you start has impact. But for you to be able to realize impact, you must be able to see what is it that will show me that I have achieved what I desire to achieve. And so what am I doing? What will show progress? What steps, what milestones will show that I'm actually geared towards there? And as I do what I'm doing, what am I learning? What are some of the lessons? What are some of the challenges that you will encounter? And how are you using those challenges to advance learning to ensure that your innovation gets better and that you continue to have impact? Again, we will be looking at a budget that basically looking at, will this budget go into the intended purpose? Will it cover all aspects of your request, or where is your financial gap that you will be requiring this fund for? And what are the market ranges of this gap? So we want you to be in a situation where you help us get a picture of your budget being very realistic, being able to cover aspects that have the gap, so that at the end of the day, you are able to be successful in your implementation. And so how do you apply? You submit your application form through 2 links. One of the links is if you are applying as an individual, a young person between the ages of 15 and 35, you will use the first application form. When you click on it, it will open for you a form that will guide you with questions on what to key in. Then there is application form for the organizations. And just to say again, organizations could be registered in any form, and some of them may not even be registered, but you have an innovation that you are working on and you know has impact. Please come forward and submit your application and be able to share with us that information, so that from the word go, we understand the kind of innovation of the organization that you are. For individuals, it is open to school-going people, those not in school, but within the age category, and have innovation. This call was launched on 25th of June, and it will be closing on 31st July, midnight, Kenyan time. And so today we are holding this information session. We would like you to ask as many questions as possible. I was hoping that the chat would be filled with preliminary questions as I go on with the presentation. However, I hope this session is really giving you clarity in terms of how or what your innovation should be looking into. And at this point, I want to say thank you, but also to invite you to send in, to raise your hand and be able to ask questions. Also, you can be free to write your questions in the chat. So Charles Omondi, you will go first with your question. So you can unmute yourself and then ask your question. Then we'll be followed by Mohammed Halake. So Charles, are you able to unmute yourself? Okay, as Charles is trying to unmute, probably we will start with Mohammed. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, Charles has been able. So Mohammed, please hold on. You will ask right after Charles.
Okay, thank you, Emily. I want to appreciate that at least you have this session, and particularly yesterday I emailed you and you replied quite fast, but still I have some issues. The first is that under my organization we have a technology solution that is not protected by IP. So my first question is, how do you handle innovations that are not IP protected? I mean, intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
The other is that we do not have local regulations for artificial intelligence based innovations. My innovation is based on a large language model LLM that I intend to incorporate for waste management here in Nairobi. So in a situation where we do not have AI laws, so how else do you handle that? And the last question is, out of your presentation today, I wish to revise a submission that we made yesterday, and unfortunately we had confused today for being the deadline. So how can we revise that submission to incorporate some of the things you've highlighted today? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will also take questions from Mohammed before I answer. Mohammed.
Good morning, team. My name is Mohammed Alake, representing organization called After Jabisa Foundation, a local NGO in Isiolo County. My question is, as an organization, we are working with a team of volunteers, youth volunteers, environmental friendly volunteers from Isiolo South constituency in Isiolo County. As an NGO, our NGO has 5 board of directors, 2 are youth, but the lead person is not in the youth bracket. So, but most of our youth empowerment programs with regards to environmental conservation is now in one of our thematic areas. Are we allowed to apply for this grant so that we can be able to help you advocate for environmental conservation in that region? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take another question from Michael Timona.
All right. Thank you very much, Emily, for your elaborate explanation regarding the call that is out there. And I think it's very timely, given that the state we're in climate change. So my question is quite clear, and it's a matter of implementation. So with the innovation that we have, I work for Vice Versa Global. I believe we have had an encounter with Vice Versa Global. Our innovation actually has a number of strategic partners. So we wanted to find out when we're making the application, under the activity section, is it relevant for us to mention some of the implementing partners that will actually help us to implement the activities that we have, or how should we highlight it? Because we have around 2 implementing partners, and this will take place in 2 counties, Nairobi County and Kwale County at the coast. So we wanted to just have clarity on that. Thank you very much, Emily, and the presentation was wonderful and spectacular.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Michael, for your compliments, and everyone else for your question. I am going to respond to the first set of the questions, and then we will go on to the next. So sorry about that. So on to protection of intellectual property. That's a very good question. And in terms of even current innovations, that is one of the challenges that young people or innovators in general are having. And in this call, one of the things that we do is that we are able to, in this challenge, we are able to also invite external experts in these different kinds of conversations that we are able to advance conversations on supporting you to probably be able to protect your property. And so if you will need, if this call, part of it will go into, part of the investment will go into supporting you do that protection, it is just important for you to include it in your application as one of the budget area that we'll be working on. Thank you also for highlighting the aspect of the regulations and especially around AI laws. Again, that presents us to have an opportunity around conversations on policy. And of course, when it comes to laws, this is beyond KCDF, and there are more other partners and people to be engaged to support that regulation, and so exposes us into the conversations around what kind of advocacy needs to be in place so that we support and have clear regulations on that. And so for that reason also, that will help us ensure that we are having experts around our technological regulations to support us in this journey so that we ensure we align and that we ensure we support the innovators well. And in terms of revising your submission, if you had made your submission and following this information session, you feel that there's something that needs to change, you can make the submission again, and we will use the latest submission to do the evaluation. Mohammed, you are open to apply. Everyone is invited to apply as long as you have the innovation that meets the criteria that we have. And we are happy that in Isiolo, you're thinking about making a submission, and it is good the way you are engaging volunteers, really to just ensure that you have more young people being engaged. So please feel free to be able to make your submission. To Michael, in your application, kindly just ensure you give us as much information as possible for us to understand how you will be doing the implementation, because the evaluation, as I had indicated, will be based on the set criteria. However, in terms of implementation, if we understand the partnership, then we are able to make informed decisions and we are able to ask the right questions. So give us information that we need to know so that we don't make assumptions. I hope those responses help to clear the first set of questions. And now I'll move to the next set of questions from Lillian Oyugi, who will be followed by Michael Olekuyuni. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrongly. Halake, this is your earlier hand, right?
I've developed something that
Hello.
Lillian,
Can I go
you
ahead?
are in a space
Yes.
we are hearing the other meeting.
No. I've actually stepped out.
Thank
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much, Emily. That was very explicit. At least I have no questions about the presentation. But there was a question that was asked before on whether we ought to resubmit. Not that I had not scheduled this meeting, but I just thought maybe this meeting should be there to inform us, and then we can now amend and do some adjustments. I'm not.
You're breaking. I'm not hearing everything you're saying.
Hello, Lillian, came out clearly. Number two.
Lillian, we lost you. I did hear the first question. You're breaking.
And can you?
Hello, you are breaking. Okay, we lost Lillian. Michael, you can go ahead as she comes back. Probably also
my
tell
name-
us where you are logging in from.
My name is Michael Olekuyoni, and I'm from Narok County. I'm representing a youth-led and governmental organization called Indigenous Friends of the Mau Forest. And my question is, what is the time frame of doing this project? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we launch the call on an annual basis, and we award you to be able to do your implementation. So within, you will be best placed to advise us in terms of how long you want to implement. Is it 1 year or 2 years? If you look at the last awards that we made, most of the organizations are doing their implementation within 1 year, but there is one of the organizations that is implementing within 2 years. So depending on what your innovation is, kindly help us understand what is the best duration of time for you to be able to implement and have impact within the available resources.
Hi, Emily. I was winding up. I hope you got my second question.
I didn't get any of the questions, but now you are clear.
Pole. Okay.
You are logging in from where?
Saying, sorry?
You are from where?
Can I go ahead?
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Vihiga County. That is where
great.
Vihiga and Siaya. Basically, Siaya is where we'll do the project. But we are in the process of actually prototyping or whatever I presented. So when they asked for the video and looking at the window for the deadline, we could not submit. And I know when you submit a prototype, sometimes it works in your favor. I don't know how we are able to put that in writing or whether it is really necessary. Although there was no question that exclusively talked about the steps we have so far made in regard to the first one, I think you already tackled on whether we could resubmit after your clarity in presentation or it's just fine the way it is. I think you answered that if I'm not wrong. Thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you very much. You are breaking, but I hope I had your question in terms of if you have to necessarily submit a video. We gave that opportunity so that if you have a video that would help us understand your innovation more, we will appreciate that you submit it, but it is not mandatory. I hope I had responded to Michael. Do we have any more questions? Yes, we have Bernard Okemo and followed by Seth Apollo. Bernard, go ahead.
Thanks so much, Emily. Just as my name, I'm logging in from Busia County. I represent a community-based organization in Busia County that champions the youth agenda and the community wellness. I have a question. May I know if the program is, if the funding is purely activity-based or program-based? By activity-based and program-based meaning that whether we are allowed to support the in-kind of the organization, like for instance, you're allowed to support maybe staff reimbursement and whatever, wages. Just clarity on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Seth Apollo.
Thank you very much, Emily, for this information session. I'm Seth Apollo, logging in from Kisumu County, from organization called Society Empowerment Project, where we just handle environmental waste, majorly sanitary waste. My question, I had typed it in the chat, but I think it has not been seen. So I just want to take this chance to re-forward it or resubmit it. So
I see you have 6 questions.
okay, so maybe we just handle this one. For when you're seeking funds for organizations, must you be below 35? That's the question I have. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for those questions. Starting with Bernard, if what you are requesting for will support you to implement your innovation, then yes, we just want to be able to see the correlation between your application and the implementation of your innovation. So if that is what will support you to implement, please go ahead and be able to just help us understand how you are going to, how it's going to support your implementation. Because if you need to pay certain wages for the innovation to work, then there is no point of supporting the innovation without supporting the wages. Help us get the correlation. Then Seth, this is looking at youth-led organizations. So if you are an organization, applying as an organization, we would like you to send in, you would like the organization to be youth-led, meaning most of the leadership of the organization, the larger percentage is young people, because this is for young people, either as young leaders or as young innovators. I hope that helps to clarify. Then I have several questions. Are there any NDAs or confidentiality agreements that participants, judges, and organizers required to sign to protect intellectual property of the ideas that will be organized to ensure that we are able to protect you from any kind of exposure? Are there ethical standards and guidelines in place for all participants, judges, and organizers? How are breaches of confidentiality or unethical behavior handled? We will have, of course, general standards in terms of how we engage, but also encourage you, if you have guidelines in terms of how you want to engage with us, please be able to provide that. For example, I remember visiting one of the innovators who had clear guidelines in terms of what to be done, and we were able to sign that to protect the innovation that they have. Then have there been any past instances of idea theft or misuse, and how were they handled? We are running this, the first challenge, and we have not had that kind of a challenge of idea theft, because as we are not innovators, we are not implementers, we only facilitate implementation of that. So, but I think these questions are also very good, because then they will help us in terms of how do we handle or prepare for this kind of instances. Then what specific steps are taken to ensure that the ideas are not copied or exploited by other participants or external parties? We will be able to probably find out how best do we support you to ensure you are able to protect your property, because at the end of the day, exploitation can come from different fronts, and that as you continue to ensure your innovation is working, you are able to protect it, not only for this particular challenge, but for the other areas and spaces that you are in. And is KCDF open to accepting project proposals later that align with your mission and vision, even if there is no public calls for applications? So KCDF sends out calls, either targeted calls or public calls for application for proposals when we have resources for particular kind of projects. And most of the time, that is one of the best ways, or one of the ways in which we onboard new ideas and new proposals. So even when you submit a proposal at any other time. Sometimes the major challenge is we may not have resources to be able to finance it at that time unless there is an ongoing resource or project around the same. And who can we contact later for further inquiry? We have a contact provided in the guidelines. You can send an email to YEIC or to KCDF, grants@kcdf.or.ke. And the second, and make a copy to, let me just confirm and ensure I give it correctly. Just a moment as I pull out. Yes, so you can make a phone call to 0736449217 or send an email to YEIC@kcdf.info or ccgrants@kcdf.or.ke. We will be able to respond to you. We are trying as much as possible to try and respond to you within a short period. Apollo, I am assuming that is an earlier hand, so we go to Lorna Wambui. I will come back to the other questions that are have been sent to. Oh no, thanks, George Ndishu. We've received your questions, and I believe I have been able to respond to them well. So we have Lorna, and Charlie is coming back again. Lorna, please unmute and go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lorna Wambui Sharon, and logging in from Laikipia County. My question is, how are you able to measure future impact? In my scenario, I am a filmmaker and I have a documentary film project that is focused on communities living around forests. And my community is around the Mount Kenya forest. And most part of the film, the community is confessing towards needing empowerment and needing to get more education. And there are already stakeholders involved in channeling for conservation in Mount Kenya forest. And my innovation idea is to use the film as a first step to creating empowerment and starting to create awareness. So my question is, how would you be able to measure future impact for such a case?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lorna, for your question and for the great work that you're doing around the Mount Kenya region. Charlie, your question?
Thank you, Emily. Of a second time, this is my final question. It concerns your framework for capacity building. I'm equally interested in that. So my question is it virtual or in attendance or both? Where do you do?
I hope
do
it's
your
not
capacity
my
building?
internet.
Where you're part only who can apply, and is there a separate application for that?
Thank you. Thank you, Charlie. I missed part of the questions, but I'll be able to give information around capacity strengthening work that we do.
Okay. Let me just repeat it.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, the question is the framework on capacity building. Is it virtual or is it in attendance or a combination? Where do you do your capacity building and who are some of the partners? And for an organization, is there a limit on the number of applicants, or is it the lead applicant for this grant who can attend? And is there a separate process for applying for that capacity building? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lastly, we also have a question in the chat box from Lillian, who is asking about What if the organization has had low focus on environmental issues? Will it affect the proposal? And what is the duration of the project? Thank you, Lillian. You may have had low focus on environmental issues. However, in whatever you have started doing, you have an innovation that is aligned to the call and you are free to apply. The duration of the project, I had mentioned earlier that you are best placed to advise us on the duration of implementation of your innovation based on the resources and based on what is practical and what will be able to have impact. In the last round, we had some of the finalists proposing to do this for 1 year, others did for 2 years. Then on to the question around capacity strengthening. KCDF has different ways in which we do our capacity strengthening, also depending on the resources available. Some of the times we have had to work with other partners where we have other partner organizations coming in to do the capacity strengthening. Some of them can be virtual, some of them can be in attendance, others take the shape of coaching and mentorship with continuous engagement. For example, we have a program online called Change the Game Academy, where you can log in and self-pace yourself to take courses around local fundraising and also around mobilizing support, basically policy and advocacy. And we are also building a hub for financial resilience, where also people can just self-pace themselves in terms of how do they enhance financial resilience for the organization. So depending on the available resources, we take different forms and shapes. For separate calls that are specifically calling for for capacity strengthening, we also are able to send out calls for organizations to apply. When we have a partnership where we are giving you grant, we usually have an assessment at the beginning to be able to understand what are your capacity strengths and what areas will you need support even as you do your implementation. And through that, then we are able to tailor areas in which we can support you to be able to enhance, or areas in which we can link you. And you also look at some of the areas in which you can take action as an organization or as an individual to be able to get better. There was a question on, what was the question? Sorry, I have just mixed my notes. Sharon, kindly, I've just mixed where I put your question. Kindly come.
Yeah, okay. My
Sorry
question,
about that.
I'm a filmmaker
Oh,
working.
yes, I've remembered. Oh, the question around impact. How do we measure impact? So impact measurement really is looked at in different ways. And what happens is we really look at when we start engagement, what is the current status, what are the other things that are happening around, and that after a certain duration of time, how much of the work that you're doing can be attributed to the changes that are there or are being experienced by the community. So impact measurement also takes different forms and shape, of course, depending on the program, but it is important for us to usually understand what is the baseline so that even as you continue to work, we are able to appreciate the changes and are able to see what is it that can be attributed to your work in terms of numbers, in terms of qualitatively, in terms of actions and changes that are happening within the community. But for us, it is very important. And at this point, I'm not sure I'm able to tell you how your work around video can be measured in terms of impact, because then there is more information that needs to be in place in order to have a clear picture in terms of what needs to be done. But impact measurement is key for us. If you notice that one of the things that informs even how we grant is being able to see that a project will be having impact to the community. Timona, is this a second question?
Yes, it's a second question, but it's a very brief one. So on the application form, actually, I've observed two things. On the contact details. So when I put in the organization's website address, it tells me your phone number should be 10 digits. Equally, when asking for the physical location, it's asking for a phone number. So I think this might be a challenge on my end, and probably other people are facing. So it's a request if that can be looked into kindly.
Thank you very much. That had been resolved. So you may want to just refresh or open the link afresh so that then the changes can be updated. But if the challenge persists, please feel free to reach out again. And yeah, because I think there were others who experienced the same and they were able to let us know. But then in terms of the website, I mean, where we want the phone number, we just want the phone number, but then you can give the website information on a different tab. We will take the question from Sharon Nyamai and then from Mahad.
Thank you, Emily. My name is Sharon Yamai. I'm from an organization called Upcycle World, a community-based organization. However, we are still in the process of finalizing the registration process, so we don't have fully the registration details. And my question was when filling the application form, because I saw that we need to fill out the details. How do we go about that in case the details are not? Yes.
You will just let us know that you are not yet registered.
Okay. One more question. What is the timeline from the application to the grant period?
Thank you. We look at this, we were trying to integrate this into our cycle of onboarding. And from the last experience, it took longer, especially being with the fact that we are also engaging external judges to support us in the process. And we are hoping that by the end of this year, we will have onboarded if there is nothing else that comes. Remember, this is a series that we are also learning in terms of really what is practical, even in terms of onboarding, and being an area of innovation, depending also on the calls that we get and how the process of evaluation goes and what is required of us in terms of also just ensure that we align and we are within the regulations. We are working with those timelines by the end of the year. However, if something comes up, then we are also adaptable. But throughout the process, we ensure that we communicate to the applicants and be able to update them on how we are going. Eric Vonza, your question, I believe, has been answered. You have indicated that you may not have registration papers. You can apply, but just let us know. Mahad, please send in your question. I believe this will be the last question. We will be able to share the recording and also share a summary in terms of some of the questions that have been asked here and comprehensive responses on the same, and also probably just update them where you can access and be able to make reference. Mahad.
Yes, okay, thank you. And I was saying that, and if you have if you had done the project of creating the content about the environment, what if it is ready? How can you share it?
Sorry? Come up
And
again.
okay, for example, I have already done my project. It is ready. So how could I share it so that you could see my work?
Oh, so unataka kutuma video.
Yeah.
And umeiweka ready kwa YouTube ama kwa
No,
Drive?
already into my phone. I didn't post.
Oh, in your phone, huh?
Yeah.
And umesubmit application?
No, I don't think I don't know.
Yes, so there in the application form, you have a place where you can submit it. So we encourage you to submit it as a link so that it is not very bulky. So as a link, either unaweza log in into YouTube, or you can save it in a drive so that then you can just send us the link that will allow us to access it.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much. So good people. I really appreciate your participation, your asking of questions, and I am sure that probably there are more questions that will be coming in. Feel free to reach us through the available options. And if you're not able to send an email or make a phone call, you can also get into our socials and we will be sure to get back to you. Otherwise, I want to wish each and every one of you the best. And we hope that through this challenge, we will be able to have great work that has impact to communities. And even when you don't get to be the winner, we will have opportunities to probably share your work with potential other funders, and hope that this will be an opportunity for you to share what great work you are doing. So please share the link with as many people as you can, and let's see what this year has for us. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you, Emily. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
It's actually now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Emily. Bye. Okay, we meet on this meeting at next time. Let's say at which day? The next meeting. It will be when? Emily.